So, before we get started, it's important to note that SMART goals aren't actually designed for coming up with learning objectives. The methodology is actually a very handy critical thinking, project management, and personal development tool. But they do have some handy stuff that we're going to shamelessly steal to help our courses have better defined objectives. SMART is an acronym. It stands for Specific, Measurable, Achievable, Realistic, and Timely, which is basically just an expression of how we want our goals to be. Let's dig in. First up, specific. This is probably our most useful goal because it's all about the what and why of our objective. Let's take a slightly silly non-specific goal. I want to go to space. It's essentially just an ambition. It doesn't say anything about how I plan to get to space, and space is pretty big. Let's be more specific about this. I want to become an astronaut with NASA and go to the moon. That's much more specific. Our S is ticked off the list. We've clearly stated whereabouts in space we're going and how we're actually going to get there. So let's look at M for measurable. You could say it's easy to measure our lunar goal right now, as you can say whether I'm an astronaut, which I'm not, and whether I'm currently on the moon, which, who knows, I'm just a voice on the internet. But being measurable is actually about being able to measure the steps you take along the way towards your goal. So let's take our specific goal, I want to become an astronaut with NASA and go to the moon, and make it more measurable. NASA rather conveniently have some requirements we can base our goal around. And we're going to focus on two of these requirements now, a bachelor's degree in engineering, biological science, physical science, computer science or mathematics, followed by 3 years of professional experience or, rather more excitingly, 1,000 hours of piloting command time in a jet aircraft. This gives us some more measurable steps on the way to get to our goal, which becomes, I want to become an astronaut with NASA by earning a bachelor's degree in computer science, let's say, and 1,000 hours of piloting command time in order to go to the moon. This is obviously getting quite wordy at this point, which is why you wouldn't necessarily hand a learner a fully articulated SMART goal for each one of your learning outcomes. But when planning your course, you should be thorough so that you know exactly what you want your learners to accomplish and how. So now that our goal is specific and measurable, it's already looking pretty great, but we obviously have a few more letters to get through because they're SMART goals, not SMUG goals. A is for achievable and R is for realistic. For our course design purposes, these are pretty much identical as they both ask the question, can a learner be reasonably expected to achieve the goal? To put it another way, this means checking what you're expecting them to learn is actually feasible given the time they have available to study the course and their existing skills and knowledge. Let's look at our specific and measurable goal. It's pretty good, but hang on a sec, I'm not an American. I literally can't work for NASA right now. It's not achievable. Technically, I could build becoming a US citizen into my objective, but it's just not realistic, especially when taking into account my other goals. I'll have to come up with some other way to get to the moon, or come up with an entirely new objective. There's no point asking a learner who's only just started coding to build the next Facebook, and there's no point teaching a learner anything they don't have the foundation to understand. This is what we're checking for when we ensure our goal is achievable and realistic. The last letter we're looking at is T for time. There's 2 ways you can look at this for your learning objectives. The first is that it's pretty easy to say by which time window your learners will accomplish the objective. It's by the end of the course. While you're not wrong, you can also look at this as an opportunity to map your objectives to your course. By what part of your course will they achieve this objective? Or will they have the time to accomplish what you've got planned? For the sake of completeness, assuming that becoming a NASA astronaut and going to the moon is a realistically achievable goal for me, let's put a deadline on it. The internet tells me the average age of an astronaut is 34, so let's put this as a modifier on my goal now. By the time I'm 35, I'll become an astronaut with NASA by earning a bachelor's degree in computer science and 1,000 hours of piloting command time in order to go to the moon. This is a long way from our originally stated objective of space, so it's easy to see how it's more usable as a practical objective to shoot for, and hopefully you now understand how you can apply this way of thinking when you're planning out your own objectives, not just for your course, but for yourself as well. This video was created as a part of a free course on the Appsembler Academy about instructional design. If you haven't already and you found this useful, you should come and check us out over at academy.appsembler.com.